All right, so let's take a look at the top 5 dream matches in MMA that didn't happen. I have to put on that list Ronda versus Cyborg. And I think in hindsight, now that we saw Cyborg and she got her exposure and we saw what a killer she was, okay, I understand why that one perhaps did not happen. But I do think at the time, with the stigma and belief and excitement about Ronda, and in conjunction with this undefeated run, I mean, people can't even get out of the first round. Collectively, she has 3 or 4 fights that don't even go the duration of one round, which is 5 minutes. For 3 or 4 fights, she doesn't even reach the 5 minute mark. In conjunction with what Cyborg was doing and beating everybody up and leaving them stiff, and they were kind of polar opposites, right? On one hand, they were both rough around the edges, which was the appeal. But on the other hand, Cyborg was straight up frightening. And Ronda all of a sudden would wear an evening gown and flash a beautiful smile at you. I mean, I just think there was some contrasts, and maybe even more contrast than similarities, aside from the debate of who's the best. Now, there wasn't much of a debate that Cyborg was the best at 145 and Ronda's down at 135. The question was, could you get them together? And I do think of all of the close but not quite there matches in MMA history, I think that one should be mentioned somewhere, along with Randy and Fedor. I mean, I'd almost stop what I was doing right now and watch Randy go out and fight Fedor. Wouldn't you guys? I mean, isn't that still one that, oh, okay, we'll watch you guys. So imagine back when they were in their primes, right? Randy's running North America. Fedor's running Japan. These are the two perennial promotions that are both existing on pay-per-view. I mean, there was something very special to this whole thing. And Fedor was on board and Randy was on board. And you kind of had these two nice guys, but it just worked in the media. I happen to think that fight, by the way, would not have been anywhere close to exciting. I'll leave it at that. I won't give I don't think that would have been all that good of a fight. I think it was a really weird matchup, and I think it would have been a dominant victory for one or the other, but I think we could have had some tremendous fun in the buildup. And I think that it was one of those fights. I mean, that fight was mentioned on the floor of the United States Congress. Have I proven my point to how big and special that fight could have been at that time, particularly if they were able to do like a cross-promotion type thing? I will tell you that Anderson Silva versus George St-Pierre was discussed many times. And it really was never all that close, even though both athletes were saying, well, we could find a way to do this. Anderson was calling for it a little more than George was. But George was saying, look, if we can find a way to do it's a weight issue. But if we can find a way to do this, I'll do it. But no, I'm not going to remain the 70-pound champion, go up to 85 just on a one-night thing. You're going to have to make some concessions here. But that is one that I do think would have been a dream match. And in fairness to the comparison that I made of Randy and Fedor, that I think we'd probably still watch that right now. I think we'd watch Anderson versus George right now, wouldn't we? Speaking on the theme of Anderson, there was also some dialogue about Anderson versus John Jones. And what was a little bit different than the Anderson-George, as fun as that may have been, is Anderson had tested the waters at 205 pounds. Not only did he test the waters, he went up against a former world champion in Forrest Griffin, a current Hall of Famer in Forrest Griffin. That was not an easy night out. In many ways, it was a punishment. Hey, Anderson, we're not happy about, and I can't quite remember what had happened in that time frame. So you're getting punished, and guess what? Not only are you going up, you're taking on Forrest. Anderson came out. He proved that he could go with the bigger guys. He proved that he could go with the best in the world at that weight class. Now, he left it and went back down to 185, but I do think that there was enough talk. By the way, are you guys aware? Anderson was at the UFC headquarters one day doing business. John Jones happened to be there the same day doing business. Somewhere they decide, hey, I got my gear, you got your gear, and there's a gym downstairs. The two of them go down there with Lorenzo and Dana as the only two guys watching this. Perhaps there was a coach or something along these lines that I'm leaving out, but they watched this workout. Now, both of those guys were tremendously respectful to the code of the workout room, which is you don't talk about the workout room. To this day, not Lorenzo, not Dana, not Anderson, and not John. And everybody's kind of touched on it, but nobody would say what happened. And as much as I would like to see that footage, and I'd like to be the one that had it and brought it to you guys, there is something cool about that workout and that time period remaining mythical that I think we can all enjoy. And you want to know a mega fight? And I don't have to go to yesteryear and tell you what could have been. I'll tell you right now, what still could be. Yair Rodriguez versus Zabit. I mean, how crazy would that matchup be? And as much as I will put that in the dream fight category, I will put Yair Zabit in the same dream fight category that I will GSP and Anderson. The difference is, not only can we get that fight, I think we're going to get that fight. I cannot imagine a scenario where Zabit does not take on the winner of Max versus Volkanovski, unless there's just too much time between the championship fight of Max and Volkanovski and their next match. And as a way of establishing the number one contender, we have Zabit and we have Yair. If that doesn't happen, I'm a little bullish that will happen, a little bearish. If it doesn't happen, I do predict it happens, and it happens in 2020. I think we can look forward to that.
Uncle Chill, there's no bad guy like Uncle Chill. He never lost, not even a round, undefeated.